everyone. Welcome to Spirit Switchboard. I am your host, Kerrilynn, and you are joining us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 and 107.7 out of New Orleans. Today, I have been super excited about having my guest on today. It's been a few weeks in the planning, and I'm just thrilled that she's here today. So joining me today is Rhonda Doughty. She is a paranormal investigator, a psychic medium, a Reiki Master, shamanic practitioner, and a podcaster. She has been drawn to the unknown her entire life, but in the last several years has begun using her intuitive abilities and connection to spirit in the paranormal field. She is based out of Richmond, Virginia. She is currently a member of the Fredericksburg Paranormal Research and Investigations, and also co-host of which I have been on this. It was just fabulous. I hope everyone pays attention and listens in. The Orion Effect Podcast with Howie Odell on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. on the Rift Nation Network, and substitute co-host for the Freakin Awesome Paranormal Show with Ryan Jones on the Vibe Network on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Thanks for joining me, Rhonda.
You're welcome. I've been just as excited as you've been.
It's and I think I love it when you meet someone and you just know, you just click, and it feels like you've been friends forever. And that's sort of how it felt. So, it feels like we were just going to sit down and have coffee and chat.
Absolutely.
Which is super exciting for me.
Yes.
So I want to know, were you having paranormal, like most of us that move into this sort of field as adults have experiences as a child in one way or another? We have some sort of experience as a child. Did you have?
So my experiences as a child were unknown to what I was dealing with. I think I did not live in what I believe to be a paranormal house or anything like that. So my father built the house. There might've been some things with the land and that kind of thing, but I was always the child that had an imaginary friend, or that I could not sleep at night without not just my light on, the light in the hallway, every light had to be on. And so now, through my development and working with other mediums that I've learned, they were like, that you were probably sensing things around you, and that's why you were so scared. So now I look at things that I did as a child, and I'm like, oh, that explains it. For me, the paranormal was just always something that had to be just real. Like I've never questioned it, even as a child, even as an adult. There's more than we understand. And so I've always had that. And my mother had that. She very much had she was reading all of the ghost stories and the ghost books. And, we both love to watch horror movies. And so, it was ongoing. So we just didn't talk about it. And now I even look back, I think my mother had some ability to things and didn't say anything about it, because my dad was very much like not that way at all. But I look back now, like when you were a child and you were really sick, she always had a relative in the mountains she would call with some kind of remedy that was weird to make you feel better. So so I think it was always there. Of course, my abilities, like the other thing that happens with people who get in the paranormal or have abilities, it comes out based off of some kind of trauma you go through later in life. And then suddenly it's like, boop, there we are.
And sometimes plural.
Yes.
Not just trauma. Trauma is plural. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to say a quick shout out here. Hi, Catherine and Lois. Hi, Michelle. Thank you for joining us again. And Kim Sage, who is part of your paranormal group.
She is my best friend, my partner in crime, and she's also on my paranormal team.
And Kim is a medium as well, too.
She is a medium as well. She is a medium as well. And so, she's she's one of the ones you call now, like you are, that says, I know this sounds crazy, but
I don't even start that as a conversation anymore. I just go, I just had an experience and I just need to talk it out.
Yes.
I don't even, because it's all going to be crazy. I just always assume it's going to sound crazy. So we just don't even start there. Hi, John and Catherine. Hi, Catherine. Thanks for being here. And Julie, thanks for being here today.
Hi, John. John Sullivan is also, he's like the lead on our paranormal team. So all my people are joining. I'm so excited. And Howie's just joined.
Hi, Howie. Her traumas. Yes. Especially when you're saying that she's the one that's supposed to be keeping you on a tether.
Yes.
That would be trauma. Oh, hi, Donna Jean. I'm glad that you're here. And Jennifer.
Hello, everyone. This is exciting.
Yeah, it's super exciting. It's, you know, I wasn't that kind of kid necessarily that had the light on, but I'm 8 years older than my sister. And so I would read her Stephen King stories when she was just little. So like creepy paranormal stuff, like anything ghost story. Like she tells everybody the stories about how I started off her journey with therapy by reading her Pet Cemetery when she was maybe 6. But I mean, now she's just so great about joining in when I say, come on, let's do this investigation. And she has those conversations with me. And I appreciate and love her for that, because, when there's always the one in the family structure. And I was thinking about how you were talking about your mom and your dad. And I find a lot of us that are in this have partners that are, hands-on people, very grounded, salt of the earth. And we need those sort of people to keep us balanced out.
Yes.
We can't all be like this. I would love us to be.
Yes.
But I don't know. I've certainly seen a shift, I would say, in the last year, even more so, I guess, whether that's starting the podcast this past spring or a little more exposure, that there's more playing nice in the sandbox. There's a little more linking arms and let's do this together community feel than what I have felt in the past, because I certainly was in this and pulled way back. So stepping forward to start Spirit Switchboard was sort of putting myself back into this world again. And it's really been like meeting people like you. It's been a real pleasure. And not so much of that competition feel in what I used to encounter before.
Yeah, I've heard a lot, and I guess I've seen it some. I know we hear about it a lot, especially with paranormal teams. I've seen it in the mediumship psychic realm, but I don't know if I just came around the right group of people. Kim and I, we studied with a lot of the same mentors. We kind of started our journey about the same time. And I'm just really lucky that everyone I've come in contact has been super supportive. And I think everybody just gets that we all work there should be no competition. We all work differently. We all bring something a little bit different to the table.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's nice to have somebody who views things, I wouldn't say views the world differently than you, but like connects with spirit differently than you, who can maybe teach you something or show you a different perspective
you
were maybe thinking of. So it amazes me. I'm glad that seems to be diminishing some. Even FPRI, Kim and I, we are just big supporters of anybody and everything. We're always putting everybody out there. So I'm glad to see that you're finding that now, but I'm glad to see there seems to be a shift. I hear that it wasn't always so.
Well, maybe I need to take some accountability in that too, because certainly, there's maturity. So a different age, perceiving things differently as well too. And I think at a different place in my journey, I try really hard to stay. I'm so busy in my lane that for the most part, I don't notice what everybody else is doing. So, I think I'm a little more involved now as well too. So that may make a difference. If we need to, be honest and have some transparency, I need to maybe own some of my own shite too.
Well, you know what? Kim and I were actually talking about this today because, you have those periods of time where you really need to be almost like a horse with blinders and not pay attention to what's going on around you, because you need to focus on your growth and not worry so much about what everyone else is doing. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing either. I learned that actually from, I'm seeing this flowing, but in my business career, my job, I had a really great manager. I worked with her for 20 years. And when things would get tough at work or there was chaos at work, when you work for a corporation that you've run into, her first thing was like, heads down, do your work, focus on your job, and it will be okay. Don't let this noise distract you.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's a little bit of the same thing. I think you can be open and supportive, but also stay in your lane at the same time.
Yeah. And it's true. Like, and you can be the same as when you're working intuitively, open and grounded at the same time. It doesn't have to be all airy fairy. It doesn't have to be all mamby pamby, because that's just not, that's not really not real life to be all that way too.
Yeah.
But, and I think too, our ability changes the more we have accountability with our healing and our growth. So the more we are accountable and understand we have a responsibility to ourselves and everyone around us for that healing journey. If we're going to be tapping into energies and working with people, those things are super important.
Yeah, that shadow work we do on ourselves to figure out why we're triggered by certain things, and it flows into the paranormal because it helps you work with those kind of spirits. Sometimes you will run into something that you believe is, I don't want to say demonic, but just angrier. And sometimes if you can figure out what your shadow work is or why they're making you uncomfortable, you can figure out what's going on with them. So, I mean, I think it does. You have to do your own work. And as you do your own work, more things open up. I've found that here in the last, I would say 6 months, maybe a little less. I've always been very clairvoyant or claircognizant. My clairaudience is suddenly going whoosh, where I'm hearing things a lot more than I used to. So you grow.
So inside ear or outside ear?
Inside ear.
Yeah. And it's the more that you feel confident and have clarity with certain clairs, and the other clairs just build up afterwards, right?
Yeah.
So Ryan is just joining us now. Hi, Ryan. And hello, Paul. Ryan, I don't know if you were here earlier. We did a little shout out for the Freakin Awesome Paranormal Show. Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Okay, sorry. I'm having an over 50 brain fog moment. So what were we just talking about?
We were talking about
healing and accountability and our clairs and our clairs, inside ear and outside ear as well too. But I find this time of year, like people talk about Halloween, the veil is thinning. I don't know why that I have to sit and figure out why that phrase irks me, but it just does. I don't know. The veil is thinning, and people just spew that out. The veil is thinning. Like if you're someone like me, it's never closed. It's never thick. It's just always there. You're standing in line at the grocery store, and somebody's dead person's talking to you. So
yeah, I mean, I do feel the energy shifts around, like just the overall energy, and it seems like, but between Christmas and New Year's, it shifts, and I don't know if that's the holiday factor. Are all our family members getting closer to us because it's the holiday time? I don't know what that is. I don't know about you, but it has felt really, for lack of a better term, loud. Like this holiday, like it seems like the spirits are a little bit louder than they were before.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with that, but this season's been a little bit.
I don't know. I don't claim to understand everything. I don't understand numerology. I have to look stuff up the same as other people. Do you know? Like I don't understand astrology, all that kind of stuff. But apparently there's all kinds of like planets that were in retrograde at the same time. There was just a whole lot of stuff going on. But it doesn't shift. I don't find it too much different than last year for myself personally, but it's always like from Halloween until the new year, it is intense and it builds up closer to Christmas. And I think with people gathering, so families getting together, brings in more spirits as well too. If people are grieving for whatever reason, the grieving and loss, and people in spirit wanting to be close by to let them know, and support. I think mental health takes a nosedive too.
It
Like
does.
seasonal, is it sad?
Seasonal depression.
Seasonal affective disorder. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all of those things, it just gets dark. But that brings us to like why ghost stories and those crazy Victorians had those, traditions of like getting together around the fire at Christmas Eve and telling ghost stories, right? So
yeah.
It's the dark times, and you tell ghost stories more when it's dark out.
Yeah, you do for sure.
Hi, Jocelyn. Hi, Contessa. Hi, Connie. Heather and Linda, thank you very much for joining us today. I listened to, I think it was the Thanksgiving episode for you and Howie on the Orion Effect, where I think it was Thanksgiving.
Was it
you were talking? You were talking about the dinner with ghosts at Gettysburg.
Yeah,
your team did that.
Yeah, our team did that. I did not get to go to that. We had something come up at work, and I was not able to join. But they did dinner at a ghost at a haunted location, and we've done dinner with a ghost here at a location in Virginia at a high school, and that is just like a fun thing that they do. That John Cushman and Debbie put on. They have this. They bring it all there. It's this huge table with all of this festive looking things, and then like big crystals, and they set a table, and the meal is fantastic, and then they set a place for the ghosts to come join, and they run EVP sessions and things like that while you're having dinner, and it's a lot of fun. And then usually there's an investigation afterwards.
Oh, that's super fun. So yeah. I do that, like put an extra place setting out for loved ones especially at Christmas time. But I do this event called Dining with the Dead. I've done it for 12 years now at various locations, and they are yeah. They're a lot, but so much fun. They're so much fun. And people enjoy that, right? Just that idea, and going with no expectation, having an open mind and open heart to whatever the process is going to be, and going with that flow, right?
Yeah.
So do you think that the more that you're opening up, or do you see it busier through holidays, opening up a little more intuitively, those events are affecting you differently? Like, are you opening up in a different way? So not necessarily investigative tools focused, but how you are feeling and experiencing focused? Is there a shift happening with that?
I don't really notice that as much. I don't notice that quite as much. It seems about the same. It just feels like things are maybe easier to connect. And then I do feel like, we haven't talked a lot about like exactly how you work, but I always make sure I set boundaries. I don't want spirits when I'm sleeping. I don't want spirits in the bathroom. Yep. But I do find like I'm hearing things walking down the hall, even in my own house, more than I'm like, what is that? What are you doing? Things that I normally don't notice. So I don't know if I'm just more in tune because of the time of year, or if it's something really happening.
Our house is always more active at Christmas time.
Is it?
Yeah. And I think it's just the season. That's how I put it. It's the season. I have animals that show up in my bathroom, like animals that are in spirit. You're sitting to go pee, and then all of a sudden there's like a husky howling, like right beside you. Like, what the heck is that? And then I start my next session, and then like, oh, so you had a husky.
You're not the first person I've heard say that animals are coming through more often now recently.
Wow. It's
which is a good thing, because people like to hear that, right?
Yeah.
They love to hear from their loved ones, but they like to hear too that their childhood dog is around them.
Animals have always sort of come in for me. Oh, you see owls, Howie. Yes, me too. Weird ones, and weird deer too, if we're gonna go that way.
I have deer show up quite a bit too.
Hi, Keith. Thanks for joining
Hey,
us.
Keith.
I just want to scroll back here because somebody asked a question that maybe we can address
Sure.
it together. Linda is just asking if we start seeing people who have passed, but if it doesn't happen all the time, is there a way to open up more? A lot of it's about your intention as well, too. Some of it is about where you are, like what your experience is in that moment, because sometimes it's really just about letting you know that you're being seen, heard, and supported, right? So, making sure that you understand what's going on in that moment.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think setting the intention. I had a friend recently reach out to me and she said, I'm suddenly seeing something in my kitchen a lot. And I don't know if it's a family member or a passer through. And I said, walk in your kitchen when nobody's around if you feel more comfortable and actually just kind of say, I don't know if you're a family member or someone just passing through. I can't quite catch you. If you're a family member, do it again here soon. And if you're not a family member, don't. So that I can determine who you are.
Yeah. And I believe if you say it, you claim it. So if you say it, you claim it, it makes it a little more real for you. And then being clear about asking in a way for you to see, hear, feel, or know in the best way that works for you.
Yes.
Because they may be giving you all these very subtle signs, but you're so busy in your life that you're missing the subtle cues with it. So, making sure that you understand how to do the dance with them. You're setting those boundaries in how it feels comfortable for you. I've also encouraged people to make a date with them. So every day, all week, when you walk by their photo, hey, don't forget, you and me, Saturday night, got a date.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
Being very clear, because then it's putting you into a routine of pausing and getting into that quiet mental space, opening up before you connect, whether you do it during dream time or meditation, but setting up.
Yeah, and I think that's the other time. If you think you're connecting with your spirits or you're seeing something, do start that meditation practice. If you're not doing it, it's not always easy when you start, but kind of start slow. Even if you're just doing body scans to start, 5-minute little body scans to start, just listening and hearing more. That's ideal. It'll help you get there.
And not comparing yourself to somebody else. So the coulda, shoulda, woulda, I need to be here. You just start to hold your breath and you shut everything down. So the more you breathe into it. One of the other things I teach people too, if we're in this, so might as well just go all the way in, right?
Yeah, sure.
Make sure you start your day with gratitude. So grateful that I had a bed to sleep in, grateful I got food to eat, grateful. And taking that deep breath and just doing that pause and asking what your spirit needs today. And you start to, if you did that for 2 weeks, you'll hear an answer before you're done asking the question. So you understand what your intuitive voice, how it works for you.
Yeah.
Are you seeing, hearing, and feeling? So when you have a weird experience like that, you can ask them to pull up closer so that you can connect with their energy. So you can ask that question, is this my stuff in spirit? If this is you, can you pull up closer? Just learning how to do that pause. And that's helpful as well too. Howie is just asking, how do you guys feel about people you may see that haven't passed yet? I think this is the second part of it. In spirit form, to be clear. So are you asking? So I always have 1,000 more questions. So I have some more questions to that.
I kind of do about that one too, because I don't know that I've seen a spirit of somebody I haven't seen a spirit of someone. I've worked with people who weren't on spirit yet, but they had other things going on. Maybe they were in the midst of passing, or they were dementia or something like that, which will give the feel that they're not here all the way.
So anyone nonverbal.
Yes.
So I can tap into people that are nonverbal. So whether it's disabilities or neurological things as well too. So coma as well too. So people that are in that space. because they're kind of 1 foot over, 1 foot here. And
Yes.
people with nonverbal, especially in the autism spectrum, which is, I have a personal connection in that community as well too. So yeah, they just seem to communicate differently on those higher vibrations as well.
Yes.
I'm not sure if that's what you were asking, Howie. If you want to go further with that.
I think what he might have been talking about is, I have heard people say that they have been somewhere in, like, say you're in your house and you just happen to glance and you see like your Uncle Joe walk past you and say something to you, and you realize later, you're like, wait, he's not here. What was that? And then you find out they just passed. I have heard those stories. That hasn't occurred to me at all.
I haven't had that happen either.
Yeah.
And I haven't had an experience of a doppelganger either.
You haven't?
No. Open to it though. Yeah.
People calling my name all the time in my room.
Yeah, I would not have patience for that. Yeah, no. I would be very clear that my divine team is protecting all corners of my space, and they are not allowed to be in my space, to touch me, bother me, talk to me while I'm sleeping. They can hang out somewhere else until I get up in the morning.
I kind of feel the same. I'm the same way about that. There's rules around that. Well, and I heard you on one of your podcasts, and I think you and I work very similarly that way. Is I have a routine I do to open up. I don't walk around. I mean, yeah, you're connected, but I don't deliberately try to connect. I kind of do some things so that spirit knows, okay, she's ready to talk to us. I kind of open up, if you will. So.
Sugar is just saying, I have to tell you, I used to have a Rottweiler dog, a Rottweiler puppy, a female, and her name was Sugar.
Aw.
Sugar. She was sweet. I see people all the time, but the ones that won't show me who they are drive me nuts. Maybe you need to figure out why they're not showing you. There's a specific reason why they're not showing you. If it's something that you need to learn about how you intuitively work, because there'll be a theme to it that you'll eventually figure out that theme is to why it's happening that way. So then you'll know, okay, this is happening. They're not showing me. So I know this is what I'm about to get into. John, everybody in here.
Because it's a lot of our friends. Like,
that's so awesome. Thank you for showing up, everyone, for supporting Rhonda.
Yes, I appreciate it. And now they're getting to know you so they can join more often.
Yeah, no, that's fabulous. Thank you. Contessa is asking, have you ever had a spirit ask you to contact with their loved one? I'm assuming it's that's alive. You mean like on an investigation, or just random out and about and had somebody in spirit? I even then, if I'm out and about, I don't want to open up, and I would never just contact somebody.
That is exactly how I was. I mean, it's what I believe, but it was also how all my mentors worked. It was kind of like, you may get something when you're out about it, like somebody that's kind of pressuring you and saying, hey, but to me, that's me imposing on their free will. So I'm never going to do that. I don't know what mental space they're in at that time.
Exactly.
I don't know what they've got going on.
Or the backstory.
I'm not saying a word. I know there are a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people who are sensitive say, well, if I don't deliver the message, they won't leave me alone. And I'm like, well, that's kind of your problem to deal with. You
get your guides on it and tell them to haul their arse out of your space.
Yes.
You need to shush up, or you are going.
Exactly. Have your gatekeeper escort.
Yes. End of discussion. I don't even. really care who the gatekeeper is. Any one of my minions, move them. They just need to go. This is not the time or place. But I also make sure that that spirit, understands, because I don't think people understand that that spirit is just looking for the first light that's going to pay attention to it. So
Yeah.
it may just keep seeking out light. But if you let that spirit know, if I am meant to be the person to deliver this message, then you will find a way to make sure that that person finds me on their own.
Yeah.
And we just wouldn't let random living people up in our space and dictate to us
Correct.
how the day is going to unfold. So
Yeah, Kim just said it, boundaries are really important if you're going to work with spirit at all.
Yeah. Contessa's just saying, I didn't know you could tell a spirit that. Yes. I think that people think that, oh, this is a gift. And then all of their, personal boundaries go out the door because they think that they need to be open 24/7 and being of service 24/7. And we still have to live a human experience and be okay.
Yeah. I also think sometimes people don't realize that when you connect with spirit, just how draining it is for you. It's wonderful, but you're exhausted. Like you're exhausted. John can attest for that. A lot of times I've gotten better about it. I've kind of built up that muscle. But if I want an investigation, sometimes around 1 or 2 in the morning, I'm like, I'm done. I've gotten so now I can kind of hang in there and make it later at night. But it will wear you out. And even if you're not trying to connect, because most of us are empathetic, if nothing else. Yeah, we're taking on that, and all of that. It's a lot. It can be a lot.
You can ask your divine team and whoever feels right for you to download the DNA blueprint for your healthiest body as well too, so you can process energies with more grace and ease. And sometimes it takes a few days, just depending. But if you are energetically sensitive, you'll feel that sort of like moving down. And if it gets in a stuck spot, you've got some work and stuff you need to clear from those spaces. But I found that was super helpful, because anything head related used to really toss me for, it still does toss me for a loop, but nothing like it used to.
Yeah.
Howie says you put so much out, she puts out so much in her during the time she burns in the evening time.
I've gotten better about it. It's taken a while. I've never investigated regularly until I joined FPRI, which has just been in the last year. So I was doing public investigations here and there, but the last few times I've been able to hang in there till like 5 a.m. So
good for you.
I promise that every time, but I'm getting there. So
good for you. Linda Nelson is just saying, I like being able to have boundaries. I was concerned if we tell them we need to sleep that they might stop comping. No. And I understand that fear, but you need to remember as well too that we're thinking human terms, and where they're not thinking from an ego space. It's really from that unconditional space, so that it's not angry or resentful or frustrated. They don't have those same sort of emotions if it's somebody that's crossed over that way.
And I think if they understand that you're willing to talk to them on the right time, they're pretty. I mean, we say that a lot in investigations. I know John and Howie both have heard me say that, people will be afraid that, they won't leave them alone, or they'll follow them. If you tell them to stay, they'll stay. They're not going to follow you if they know you don't want them to. Yeah. Most of them won't.
And for children too, I talk about this a lot. My daughter is 26 now, but when she was in grade 4, so whatever age that is, I don't know how old they are in grade 4, 10, something like that.
Yeah.
The school that she was at was, if you looked at a crossroad, so those 4 corners of a crossroad. So the elementary school was on one corner, mausoleums were on one corner, children's cemetery on the kitty corner, and then like the regular Catholic plot was on the opposite corner. So this elementary school surrounded by cemeteries. And she was like, Mom, they just hound me all the time. And like, you tell them I am here to learn. You are not to bother me. And if you need me, my mom and I will come on Saturday. So same thing, setting the rules and boundaries and making a date for when it's convenient for you. Because if you don't set those rules and boundaries, they think what they're doing is working. So they just keep doing more of it. So you have to be pretty clear about what works for you. And the same as changing what they look like. Like if you have a guide coming in that kind of it creeps you out in some way, like how they're presenting, you can tell them, switch it up. This is not working for me.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to figure out what's work.
Yeah.
Some people I've worked with, they get very upset that they can't tell what their guide looks like. I'm like, as long as you can feel who they are, they don't have to give you their names. That it doesn't matter. As long as
really
you know
doesn't.
It's them and how they feel, you're fine. But yeah, you can.
I tell people, think about if not everybody is a meat eater, so I'm not trying to offend anybody, but if you are a meat eater and you have your turkey coma on the couch, but you recognize which kid or which family member is walking into the space while you have your pants undone in your turkey coma on the couch, you know the energy of that person just because you're connected to them. So you will eventually learn all those different vibrations of who these different people are. And the more that you practice, and it's a practice and it's a journey. So the more that muscle builds, the more you don't care. Like I tell people my least favorite question to get asked in a session is, what's my spirit guide's name? I'm like, how would you even know if I was lying? So I'm very open about it. I tell everybody their spirit guide's name is Bob. So when I started the connecting with your guides course, that's what I called it. Who's your Bob?
Who's your Bob? That's something that people ask all the time. You got to, they always ask, what's my guide's name, or what do they look like, or who is my guide? And it's like, you kind of got to go. I can give you the tools to go figure that out yourself.
Exactly. And don't give your power away to somebody else. Don't give your power away to somebody else to tell you who your team is. Ask for the tools so you can lean in and feel more empowered in making that connection, right? So, I always worry, like, oh, you just asked me to tell you all of that. Where else do you give your power away? That's where my head goes. Like, no. It's so not good. Christmas traditions. Do you have any traditions that you've carried forward as a kid? Ones that you have evolved, shifted, changed? I just had Jeff Belanger on, and we had that conversation about Christmas traditions.
Really, no. I've always been able to make Christmas very much mine. And the reason being is, like, most of my parents were very easygoing in that aspect. Even with Thanksgiving, my dad was a hunter, so we never knew when Thanksgiving dinner was going to be. We just made it and ate it, me and my mom, whenever we felt like it, or whoever popped in. So Christmas was always, there's standard things like you fix for dinner and things like that, or things that people want you to fix for dinner, but there's nothing. I will say I actually kind of enjoy that. I have nothing that's like set in stone that has to be for Christmas. Christmas, I just kind of like to be whatever brings.
That's fun. I think I don't know if I had a lot of set traditions when my children were small, and there's certain things that I still do, and other ones that we've kind of let go. And now that I have a granddaughter, she's 3, and it's a lot of fun. So she calls me Queenie.
I like that.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. Everybody needs to adopt it. Everybody needs to be a Queenie. So she calls me Queenie, and so some of those things like putting out reindeer food and those things we get to start again as far as those traditions. And I think the only one that was super meaningful that I try to continue was I used to read to my kids all the time. Like they would all come up on my bed. I was a single parent forever. So they would all come up on my bed and I was reading The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So the Chronicles of Narnia. And it was around Christmas time. And we were at that point where they were, the White Witch gives, oh gosh, I'm having my brain fog, but Turkish Delight, she gives him the Turkish Delight to the sweets to win him over. And my kids didn't know what it was. So there's this place here where I live that makes Turkish Delight and candies, and they import ingredients from England because yes. And so I started buying them Turkish Delight every year for Christmas. And so, I mean, they were little when we were doing that. And my oldest is 30 now. So
yeah, the only thing that we ever did, we always went riding around looking at Christmas lights. I grew up way out in the country. So
I did too.
We're very like separated from each other.
Yeah.
So we would go into town and go ride around and looking at houses decorated and things like that. We did do that every year.
That's how I grew up too. I like in the middle of nowhere.
Pretty much. Middle of nowhere.
Yeah. So fun. Like snowmobiles to get you out of, like, if you're stuck in the snow for 3 days because there's no power and the roads aren't cleared. Nowhere.
See, we don't have to have that because we only get a couple of good snows every couple of years. We get the really good ones. But I can remember my dad, like, it'd be like 6 o'clock. He's like, you want to go ride out and see if you're going to school tomorrow? We go ride around in his truck and see how bad the roads were to see if I had to go to school the next day.
That's fun. Well, we would know. And I was talking about this with my son too. Like I've lost the bravery that I had of being like a Northern Ontario girl now that I'm in Southern Ontario, because I've been in Southern Ontario for 22, 23 years now. And I'm not as brave of a driver in winter anymore. Like I've lost that nerve because before we would just drive in whatever, you know?
Right.
I don't do that anymore. Cheryl's just saying, I love looking at Christmas lights. Did that last night with my 87. But this is part of it. We seek the light when it's darker. We seek the light when it's dark. And that's why the Christmas lights bring everybody joy. You know,
they do so much. So Kim has actually decided she's leaving her tree up all year. and just decorate it for season. So she has the lights. So
that's the tree that's behind me. I leave it up all the time too. There'll be Valentine hearts on it soon. I do all that kind of stuff. I'm just gonna move this person. So just give me 1 second. Oh, that's fun. We'll do this quick. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. This is what we want to do. So right there. I don't know why I keep doing that. But the Christmas lights I had a hard time getting. I was so busy this year, it took me forever to get stuff going, to get the lights up and that. Donna Jean saying, Kerrilynn, unfortunately, I think as we get older and closer to death ourselves, I think we're a little less inclined to risk our lives on crappy roads. Yeah. As a kid, though, when you're going to your Christmas concert and you're all dressed up and you got your snowsuit over it, you're still excited about going to.
Yeah. I think about all the things that I was not scared of as a child, like standing literally on top of monkey bars, not scared. And now heights, I'm like, I'm going to break something. And like the beach, like I can remember going swimming in the ocean up to my neck and not caring. And now I'm like, what's beneath me? What's in there? I'm not going. There might be a shark. It might bite me. And here I did it all the time as a kid. So have you been in any positions on an investigation where you get scared? Actually, no. I have not had anything that scared me. I've had a bunch of WTF moments was that, but nothing that's really scared me.
So with the WTF moments where you have that shock moment first, does it fall back into laughter after? Like, does that fear move into laughter?
Sometimes more like, what was that? Yeah. Sometimes I don't know why I don't have that fear. I don't know. One, it's because I trust my team. Like, I know that
that's
we're
important.
all in it together. I trust that if I get off in any way, they're going to pull me out. Like, I don't have that fear. So there's that trust that I have with that. So I don't know if that's what makes me not scared, but nothing scares me.
No, I've been growled at and scratched.
It might happen, but
But I think when you trust your abilities and the people that you're with as well too, those things are important. I'm very scared of steps with no risers, like those metal grated steps that you can see through.
Yeah, like bleachers. Yes.
No. No. I have like cold sweaty hands thinking about it. This is awful. Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah, I think it has a lot with trusting your guides that they're not going to let you go in a situation, or they would warn you to get out of a situation. And then the fact that my paranormal team, I trust with everything I've got. They're going to make sure we're all okay.
Jennifer Harris Melton is just saying, I was fearless as a kid. Now I don't do heights at all. Can't even stand on a footstool. I understand. I understand.
I have a stool that has a handle now. Like, there's a stool that has a little handle to make sure you don't fall.
That's awesome. I'm not even all that tall, so the fall's not like far.
It doesn't matter. It still hurts. I don't want to do it.
Right. Okay. I asked you, I did a wee bit of prep with you about doing just to do it's not even a game, really. It's just fun and silliness because we're getting close to Christmas, and I just wanted to keep it as light as possible. So I'm going to ask you, we're going to do a Mad Lib. Have you done any of those before? Did you do them as a kid?
Time. I did as a kid, yes.
So we're going to do one as adults. Because I think that's part of the Christmas or the holiday spirit as well too. And I think that we need more of that as adults, bringing back those things that brought us joy as a kid. And even with those paranormal investigations, there is like an adrenaline rush that happens that we don't get in our daily lives. It just hooks you and you go, especially if you're not, finding joy in other ways as an adult. This does give us joy. Creeps us out in all the good ways too, and
it's fun. I mean, I think what people forget is like paranormal investigations, you're not busy all the time. So that's when
they have no clue.
Moments and conversations come about where you're sitting there waiting for something to happen.
I talk about this all the time. I am the snack queen. I am all about the snacks. I am planning snacks before we go. I make I like, what's your favorite snack? Like, I make sure, and fun snacks. I just recently found, and it's never like things like protein bars or anything like that. No. Yes, fourth meal for sure.
That's what he calls it. Like, he's like, it's about time for fourth meal, and that's about 1 in the morning when it's time for a good snack.
Yes. I discovered Reese peanut butter cups, those king size ones with caramel inside it.
Ooh. I found some of the big king size ones that have potato chips chopped up in it. So if you like your salt and your sweet,
yes,
they're really good.
Yes. Michelle is just sharing, I'm not athletic enough to be an adrenaline junkie. That's why I think I'd like to try out paranormal investigating. It should be just right for me. Yes. Okay. So here we go. This is what we're going to do. Are you ready?
Yep.
Reese peanut butter cups are a must for sure. I agree.
They are.
Okay. I need you to give me the name of a haunted location.
Belgrove Plantation.
Belgrove?
Belgrove. Yep.
Where's that?
It's in Virginia.
I'm going to look it up. Because I don't know it. So I'm going to learn.
Send you some scoop on it.
Okay. A cryptid. Give me the name of a cryptid. A Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
Okay. An article of clothing.
A shirt.
A paranormal personality, somebody, that people might know.
Somebody might know. Let's do John Zaffis.
That's so funny. All day I was thinking him in my head. I was really hoping you were going to pick him. I was mentally Vulcan mind melding with you all day. It worked. Okay, another cryptid.
Another cryptid. Mothman.
A type of candy.
Reese cups.
A piece of furniture.
A sofa.
A type of vehicle.
A Jeep.
You've got an awesome Jeep, don't you?
I have a couple. I have two.
You have two?
Yeah. I have a more luxury one, and then I have my Wrangler. Yeah.
That's fun. I have a PT Cruiser. Everyone tells
cool.
me it looks like a hearse.
Mini hearses.
I'm all right with that. I would love a hearse, actually. An animal.
A dog.
Thanks for being patient. Hang on. Here we go. Okay. Here's where I need that list.
Okay.
I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay.
8 of those paranormal peeps.
All right. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
MJ Dixon.
MJ?
Mm-hmm. Cindy Kaza. Brian Kano. Jeff Belanger. Amy Allen.
Okay.
All right. Dave Schrader.
We are. Thank you for asking, Ward. We are. You just gotta hang on tight, just a couple more minutes, and then I'm gonna put all of these into something and read it out to you. She's giving me. We're gonna do a Mad Lib, so we're gonna do like a paranormal Christmas Mad Lib mashup. I need actually 2 more. We can put John Sullivan in here. We can put Howie in.
Put John Sullivan and put Howie in there.
Okay.
John's like, wait, this is your interview, not mine.
Yeah, no, we're all in this together. I need a piece of a type of paranormal investigative equipment.
Dowsing rods.
Do you use them?
Yep.
Do you love them?
I do love dowsing rods.
I do too. They help me find my glasses when I'm having a brain fog moment.
Really?
Yes, no joke.
I've used my pendulum to try to find things before.
I think the
Which way
pendulum.
in the house is it?
I think that with my pendulum, I don't trust it as much. I don't trust. Like, I understand how to use it. Understand what can influence it, but I trust my dowsing rods, so I lean into it a little easier.
We've started using the pendulum on a stand so that it's not our energy.
Oh, that's perfect. Because depending on where, how close you hold it to your body, how far away, and people don't realize that our body is like a battery. So we have a positive side and a negative side. So you need to make sure you're doing it in a neutral place. Like, it gets all mixed up easily. So I promise, folks, we're almost there. I need you to give me a soft food, like a mushy food or a soft food?
Mashed potatoes.
So that's comfort food for me. Mashed potatoes.
Me too.
Big side of gravy on it, and I'm content.
And I could have that as a meal.
Right? We had poutine for dinner, but it was like shawarma poutine. So we had like chicken shawarma on it.
Ooh, I love chicken shawarma.
Yeah, so it was like chicken shawarma on the top and then fries and gravy and cheese curds underneath.
Nice. That's some comfort food right there.
I don't even know why I get it. And it's this huge package and I eat less than a third of it. That's about as much as I can handle is about a third. And I wake up and then my 18-year-old has ate it through the night. He's finished it through the night. I need a body part, please.
Nose.
Okay.
This sounds like it's going to be very interesting.
Okay, let me come back to okay. Okay, folks, are you all ready? I'm going to read you a story. Get all comfy. Get your blankets and your pillows. Get your popcorn and snackies. Oh, that's fun, Leslie, that you're picking up on nose. Okay, here we go. 'Twas the night before Christmas. When all through the Belgrove plantation, not a creature was stirring, not even a Bigfoot. The shirts were hung by the chimney with care in hopes that John Zaffis soon would be there. The Mothmen were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of Reese cups danced in their heads. And Mamma in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my sofa to see what was the matter. That's actually like a true fact for me. Me and the dogs on the sofa. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave a luster of midday to objects below. When what to my wondering eyes did appear but a miniature Jeep and 8 tiny dogs. With a little, I know, more dogs the better. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment he must be John Zaffis. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name.
Now I get it.
Do you want to read your names?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Now MJ Dixon, now Cindy Kaza, now Brian Cano and Jeff Belanger, on Amy Allen, Dave Schrader, on John Sullivan and Howie Odell, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away all. As the leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with the Jeep full of dowsing rods and John Zaffis too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. And as I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney John Zaffis came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, which kind of is fun that you picked John Zaffis as he just put that Santa out this week.
Yeah.
And his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of dowsing rods he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and his beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of mashed potatoes. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the shirts, then turned with a jerk, laying his nose aside of his nose. And giving a nod up the chimney, he rose. He sprang to his jeep, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night."
That's funny.
Yes, just it was about fun. I just wanted it to be fun, and it was fun putting it together too, right? Like you can do so many different things, but I think we forget to have sometimes, just that silly fun, right?
Yep.
I keep trying to coax my kids into doing like the minute to win it games. Have you seen it? Have you seen all those?
Yep,
I just think that would be fun, but they don't. So we end up doing, what did we do last year? Those like haunted, like you have to solve the murders. You get like those monthly boxes and they give you a clue each month. So you have to put all the clues together to figure out who killed the person. But
was that like a box that's like a mail box, like they mail it to you?
Yes.
I've never heard of that.
Okay, so when I remember, because 50 brain fog. But that's what we did. And we did one again. We did Thanksgiving and then we did it at Christmas. And they're a lot of fun because you can buy sets that are completed. So you can buy the whole set at one time or buy the little mini sets for sure.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. Haunted, right? Like haunted Christmas is a great time for ghost stories and all that kind of stuff.
I agree.
Do you have a Christmas ghost story?
No, I don't have a Christmas ghost story.
Do
you? I read like ghost stories. I read a lot during the Christmas holiday, and I don't know why, but it's kind of like once Christmas happens and that little lull, I pull out all the books I wanted to read and I start reading.
Because it's dark out and it's the long winter season, and you snuggle in. Like it really is about reading. I have my stack. I always have a stack of books, so I probably have like 12 on the. On the shelf.
Probably have more than that. We won't talk about that.
More on the Kindle. There's just a lot.
We won't talk about how I don't need to buy another book for like 2 years. Because
that's not true.
This is right. Because books need to be bought.
Yes.
And I like my Kindle, but I still like paper books too.
I do and I don't. I think that I'm making myself sound so old, and I'm really not, but I do have arthritis in my hand. So I find, depending on the size of the book, like I had Rebecca Pittman on a few weeks ago. She just finished a book, or she didn't just finish a book. She published a book about oh my gosh, no, honestly, listen to Lizzie Borden.
Lizzie Borden? Okay.
Yes. And it's fabulous. Like I can't put it down, but it is the size of a doorstop. It is thick. And I have been reading on the Kindle.
As I said, I'm not going to buy any books. I might order that one.
It's brilliant. And she also has a Lizzie Borden game.
Lizzie Borden game? Now that would be fun. Yes. An investigation to kill time. We could play the Lizzie Borden game.
Yes. Look into it, because she doesn't ship to Canada yet, but I need to find a way. I tried to talk her into finding a way for me to have the Lizzie Borden game. But yes, so I like the smell. I miss the smell of the pages when I'm on the Kindle. Like,
yeah, I like my Kindle when I travel, and I haven't had to travel for work as much as I used to, because once COVID happened, I used to travel like once or twice a month for work. So I always like to have my Kindle, because then I don't have as much to carry. But when I'm home, I don't mind having the paper books. But even then, I'd have my Kindle full of books. And as I'm going through the airport, because there's like a bookstore on every. So here I am taking pictures of other books I want to buy. So I don't have to remember the names.
That's how I am too. I had I stepped into it, so we're just going to keep rolling with it. I had a first date that was just a date. And that's where I asked to connect with that person was at a bookstore.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. You go choose a book. I'm going to choose a book, and then we'll grab a coffee and we'll sit and
That's a cool idea.
talk about it. Yeah. Books are fabulous.
Yep.
Books are fabulous. I found a couple of creepy ghost stories, like Christmas ghost stories, if you want to hear them.
I do. I do.
I didn't really have any creepy ghost stories either, but I mean, as a kid, I was more scared of the Christmas movies than I was of like the Halloween scary movies. Because the Halloween scary movies, I knew that I could laugh at them.
Right.
Like, because I could put myself into, they must have had a lot of fun putting those scenes together. Like, I would have laughed my butt off when we were done those sort of like horror movie scenes. But the Christmas movies, like It's a Wonderful Life or It's a Christmas Carol, those ones were like, maybe I'm a bad person. Am I gonna
They're kind of dark.
Yeah. Do I get to go to heaven? Am I gonna be haunted? Are people really watching me? Which, I mean, yeah. I mean, you do have spirits watching. Oh yeah, it's Black Christmas. For sure. Have you seen that?
No.
It's a horror movie.
All right, let me write that one down too.
It's an older one too.
But no, like I mean, there's some dark Christmas movies. There's some that aren't, but there really are. Like I guess the older ones can be quite not all jolly and merry, that's for sure.
No, not at all. Yeah, I'm a horror movie fan too. I don't know if you guys follow me on social media at all today. I posted this little meme of Hannibal Lecter behind Clarice, the doe from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Hello, Clarice.
See, I love horror movies.
Me too. Do you have a favorite?
Oh gosh, no. I like, you know what? I think one of my favorite ones, and it's old. It was like one of the ones I remember watching as a teenager with some of my friends because it was scary, but then it was funny at the end when you realize what was going on. It was called April Fool's Day.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
It was really good. It was really good. It's probably very cheesy now if you would watch it in its 80s attire, but
oh no, that's awesome.
That's awesome. It. I mean, I love the Conjuring movies and all of that. I love it.
I'm just gonna share this word. It's just saying. Do you want to read it?
I wrote one time about candles. I was reading a story in the dark. I lay down my box of matches when I heard the silent cry of the skin of a wooden stick that scratches. I could feel the heat sitting on its wick, ready to make its way through the candle, and it was just at the tip of the wire where I could see a tear dripping into the fire. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
You know what I found? I actually didn't find any Christmas ghost like stories for Canada. Like,
right.
I don't know. There's just, I don't know if it's just because we're a baby country, so we have less going on. Or I just wasn't digging in the right Reddit threads. I don't know. But there's like so many more in the UK if you're looking, right?
Yeah.
So many more in the UK. I just gonna do another quick shout out. So if you are just joining us here, you are listening to Spirit Switchboard. I'm your host, Kerrilynn Shellhorn, and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network 105.3 and 107.7 out of New Orleans. And I'm just chatting with my friend and colleague, Rhonda Doughty. So yeah, the ones that I found, you know what? Oh, the ghostly beggar children. I mean, right there just sounds not nice.
Beggar children.
Ghostly beggar children. I mean, anything children related, spirit related, ghosty children, all of that's pretty creepy to begin with.
Yes. Yes.
It's just creepy. And that was always the part that got me in A Christmas Carol. Like the original movie, when the Ghost of Christmas Present opened up, like he had that big burly beard, and then he'd open up his coat and all those children were inside.
Yes.
Oh,
It was creepy.
Yep. I would be crying and underneath the blanket every time. So the ghostly beggar children of Bramber, Sussex. So in the UK, Bramber Castle in West Sussex was for centuries owned by the powerful De Brose family, the Lords of Bramber. In the early 13th century, William, the fourth Lord of Bramber, fell out with King John. Big mistake. John pursued William across England, Ireland, and Wales, seizing his lands and capturing his family. One version of the events has it that William's children were held hostages by the king and were eventually starved to death in Windsor Castle. Could you imagine starving children?
Horrible. That's horrible.
According to the legend, the ghosts of the children are reputed to stalk the roads of the village of Bramber on dark nights, dressed in rags and chasing and accosting passerbys for food. Why did they not? I mean, people leave food out for Bigfoot.
This is true.
You know, if you know that they're haunting for food, can you not just leave something out and bypass the haunting part and just go, hey, I'm sorry, that was awful. Here's a
cheeseburger and fries.
Right. Village tradition. Oh, wait. Yeah. No. Village tradition has it that at Christmas time, the ghosts of the children, a boy and a girl, can be seen mournfully watching over the ruins of their former home, Bramber Castle. That's very sad. Like, can you imagine?
No.
I don't want to run into I just my hackles go up when anything is like a child spirit to begin with, because you just kind of figure it's not really
a child.
Yeah, but my friend and I started this last year. So my dear friend Jody, her and I do a lot of investigations, just the two of us. And I decided last summer I wanted to do this thing called the Pioneer Cemetery Crawl. It was easy for us. We were just going to find all these pioneer cemeteries, and we were just going to, do these investigations.
So by pioneer cemeteries, from the pioneers, like the original settlers. So those old cemeteries. I'm just trying to bring this up for myself. Okay.
Yeah, those old cemeteries. So we've had a couple of really crazy experiences. So we decided we were going to keep that going. So it's an ongoing thing. And we were at one this summer. And when we got to it, I'm like, oh, Jody, there's a little girl up in that corner waving at us. And she's like, legit a little girl. She's not got a voice that's changing. She's not got it doesn't smell like sulfur. We're good. It's legit a little girl. But that little girl, we caught her. She came right up to Jody, and Jody's like, my hand is freezing cold. I think it feels like she's holding my hand. I can feel fingers. And we had this whole experience and EVP session with this little girl from in the cemetery. And I mean, from what I could into it and the way that we were framing the questions, she had fallen out of like a loft in a barn.
Oh, wow.
So there was, I don't know why she wasn't crossed over or what was happening that way, but it was definitely a barn farm related accident anyway.
Now, for these kind of cemeteries, are you able to look up any history on them at all, or is it they just old? Oh, okay.
So for some of them, for sure we can. I think that that's something that I need to do more of. I'm horrible for that part, doing the back research. If somebody else wanted to volunteer their time to do that, I'm like, I'm doing good just getting booked onto the calendar and making the time to go do those things too, right, with everything else. But yeah.
Talk about a good book that could make, though, with all of what you're seeing and all of those. That'd be really cool.
We have a couple of cemeteries that I don't even want to bring people there, because we've brought people there and you legit feel sick. Like they make you feel sick so that you leave. And the last time we went, we brought whiskey. We thought, well, let's offer them up. and drink and see if he'll hang out with us for a wee bit and see if he'll be nicer to us. But he like swears at us and everything. He's not a friendly dude that is taking over that cemetery for sure. Not liking it. I'm just gonna bring this up.
Yeah.
So so it's Shane and Tammy Johnings. We've had a few members of the family pass on Christmas or just before and after. Any reason why deaths happen in clusters like that and around the holidays? I have some thoughts. Do you want to share your thoughts?
I don't have any. I would like to hear your thoughts on it because it is something I notice. Mm-hmm. And I wonder, do I just notice it more because it's the holidays? But it always does seem like there are deaths and tragedies like right before major holidays. And then, unfortunately, that kind of embeds in the mind of the person who experienced the loss, right? Like those holidays aren't always the same. So what do you think about that? I'm curious.
I mean, I can only share from my experience and from my observations, right? From sessions that I've had or conversations with clients. So just an observation that it's a way of honoring them and remembering them as well too. It's not meant to put you in a low mental space or to take away from that holiday, but they want you to. It's a high energetic time. It's a way for you to remember and honor them when everybody's already going to be together. Like everybody's coming together so you can share stories about them, reminisce about them. And it's that coming together to lift you up. And they pull in those time periods. Like when everybody's pulling together, you are raising that vibrational level where it's easier for them to pop in. So that's why you might have those aha moments, those memories that just plop in out of nowhere. Like when you're at the grocery store buying food for everybody. And that's them letting you know that they're around.
Well, you know what? I'm going to share a story if you don't mind, because
please do.
That brings something to my forefront. When my father passed, he'd been in hospice probably a good 5, almost 6 months before he passed. But I was with him one weekend and he said, "When's Mother's Day?" And I was like, "It's next Sunday." He said, "Are you sure about that?" I said, "I'm sure." And to the point, we actually asked the aide at the hospice place to go get the calendar. She's like, "Kathy," which is my sister, "your sister will be in town that weekend." I said, "Yeah, I'm sure she will come see her mom. She's my half sister. I'm sure she'll come in for mom." He said, "Yes, she'll be here that weekend. Don't you know he passed away the Saturday before Mother's Day?" And I was like, "Isn't that interesting?" It's almost like he knew and he was trying not to cause trouble because she would already be here. And she would be coming from out of state. So
I think on some level they know, whether they're consciously aware or not. And I think that I'm going to rephrase that. I'm going to say I feel instead of I think. So I feel that the loved ones that are already in spirit also, come in closer. So they feel that connection. They know what's going to be. They have a better sense that something's going on when they're tapping in that way. Oh, good. I'm glad that I answered your question. Megan, I'm just going to pull this back up. Your response is appreciated. Thank you. About your last conversation, my family and I have gone to old cemeteries. We speak and record. My sister got spooked once. We listened later on and heard voices. She deleted it for fear of keeping the recordings. Is that a legitimate concern? So I personally don't feel it is. I think that if you feed the fear, it can be.
Yes, I was just thinking if you feed the fear, because that wouldn't, it's just a recording. There's a lot with that feeding the fear.
Oh, there's so much. And honestly, if you heard the voices, where the voice is just residual, so it's not really something that it's an attachment. Was it an intelligent response, any of those sorts of.
There was an investigation last weekend, and that, Howie was talking on our show last Sunday about it, and he mentioned, somebody got scratched, and that was my first question. I said, was somebody feeding the fear?
Mm-hmm.
Was somebody doing that? Because it's important to know whether that was going on or not. And he said no for that particular instance, no. But it's a big question you have to ask when you're doing paranormal investigations when things are occurring. So you can manifest a lot.
Yes, you can. And pull that in. And I'm always encouraging people. I mean, we all have moments. We all have moments when we can be hangry, so we're tired and hungry, or we haven't slept proper, so we can have those moments. But it's shifting out of it quick and getting into the habit. So you have that low moment, and I always encourage, like, clear, cancel, and delete that. And thank you very much. We're just going to clear, cancel, and delete that. And thank you very much. So you need to, get into those habits of shifting it, still being okay that we're going to have a low moment, and that's normal and human. But the more that you learn to step out of it, the less moments you have.
Yes.
In that as well too. And I mean, scratches can be, have you ever been scratched by something?
I've been touched, but not scratched.
So I've been scratched only once. And it was a doozy, for sure. It was a doozy. And I remember calling my friend right after. And I mean, the lead up was that there was definitely some sort of attachment in my oldest son's room at the time. He was like 16, 17. And it was creating a lot of havoc. And I was just sort of like coming out of the closet and letting everybody know that this is, what I'm doing. And I went to go in his room to clear that energy out. And there was definitely like a doorway that was open that needed to be moved off the property. So, moving that out. But when I went into the room to clear it out, there was this creature thing that I don't have a name for, don't know what it was, growled audibly outside ear, could hear it growling. And then it felt like burning down my arms from my wrist to my elbow. So I stepped out and these 3 welts came up, and I called my friend and I said, you are crazy if you think I'm going to do this for like in public for people, and I'm going to do sessions, and there is no way I am stepping into doing this. And she said, did you ask your divine team to be with you and protect you before you stepped in to do that? Or did you go in thinking that you were the one doing it? Because you're just being of service and it's moving through you. You're not the one doing it. And I was like, man, let me go back in there. So then I did it, the way that I need. And I only needed that one experience to know, that to have it driven home that, it's a team, it's an energetic team, whether I'm aware or not, and I'm being of service, and it's not me doing it, but it's going through me. And so I've just never been scared either. I mean, if something growls, I tend to go towards it, not away from it.
Right.
But I've never had anything scratch me. So, that would be my next question as well, too, for the person that got scratched. Was it something that they were needing to learn about themselves and their journey intuitively to help them move forward and grow better?
That's a good point.
Moving forward.
That's a really good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of those experiences, right? Like what we can take from it to approach the next ones differently, and not let fear stop us.
Yeah.
From moving into it. Because that one spirit for sure at that cemetery, he sure tries to get big and nasty to keep everybody out of his space. And I'm like, you met your match with me.
They just want to keep you out of their space, or some of them I feel like some spirits are just ticked off because they haven't had anybody they can tell their story to. They're just mad because they can't.
I would say that this spirit definitely prevents other spirits from talking, though. Like, he's definitely a bully spirit. That's a collector. A collector. That's what
we've got one like that at Belgrove. He was a caretaker on the plantation, and he's out what we call what would have been near his home where the caretaker would stay. And we do get responses on EVPs like that he won't let them talk. And he has a tendency to get crude and rude, and
yeah, this guy too.
But at first he kind of worried me, but now it's just kind of like, I still worry about him, but I feel like he's a lot of bark.
So he's not made you feel sick. This guy can make.
He has made me feel. He's made all of us feel sick. There was actually a renovation project going on that particular building one summer, and we were at one point. I was like, I've got a headache. I'm not feeling good. For a long time, I wouldn't go in his place, but once they painted it and cleaned it up some, it got a little bit better. But he's still there. He's still just ornery, and he's just an ornery old man. That's what I think.
That's how I approach it too.
He cusses at us quite often.
Isn't that funny, eh? Even that. I have a Scottish background. I can cuss good.
Me too. I have to put
it back. Me too. Me too. There's a comfort level that you get in, and then you have to remind yourself to pull out of that. And this show has been great.
Words just don't express your opinion quite as well.
Well, there's power that comes, like it's moving energy when it's like it's been building up. Oh, it comes out. You just like, oh, that felt good. But even with the swearing, I still like when we're talking about shifting energy and holding energetic space and understanding that we're contributing to the collective consciousness, whether it's positive or negative, and taking accountability and responsibility with all of that. So, if I get frustrated when I'm driving, and I'm like, oh, I forgive you for being a blankety blank. I forgive myself for calling you a blankety blank. We're just hoping karma clearing that. So and then hoping that it all balances out. Oh, so funny. I hope that we helped.
I've done that. I'll do it. And I'm like, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sure you're a very nice person, but your driving is really making me angry today.
And we really don't know what their story is because everybody's got something going on, right? That we're unaware of. So
that's true.
I mean, but there's this funny, I don't know how to phrase this. The more consciously aware you become and understand that you are taking personal accountability, the less you enjoy being around other people who don't understand how to take accountability. Like you like people less.
Yes.
Love people.
Right. And you still have, yes.
I'm probably phrasing that wrong, but anyway.
No, but I get what you're saying. I mean, a lot of the problem is people.
Mm-hmm.
Just not being good people or nice people or not being the center of their own universe.
I am such a Pollyanna trying to I always flip it back around. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to practice speaking my truth. Thank you for giving me the opportunity for walking away from things that aren't good. Thank you for giving me the opportunity for practicing healthy boundaries and seeing that aspect of it. So I don't get caught up in the frustration or anger or resentment, right? Because that just doesn't do anything good for us. Nancy's just sharing. Agree. My circle is smaller than it used to be, but probably more authentic. So,
right. I think, and I've been speaking about this, I think I know authentically who my circle is, and I'm very cautious about who comes in it. But I mean, I still think everybody gets categories now. You can categorize for me now. You're either part of my inner circle tribe. Not that people didn't come and go. You meet people that you immediately feel a connection with. They come, but then there's acquaintances and business acquaintances and people that, while I may like you and speak with you, I don't necessarily want you in my inner circle, but we can work together or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm finding I compartmentalize a lot more now.
Yeah. And it really has to do with where we feel safe to be vulnerable as well too, right?
Yeah.
And
yes. That's a lesson that's come up for me recently is I went many years without being very vulnerable. And now that I am, I'm also being cautioned, pull it back a little bit because not everybody should know everything, So I'm
Yeah. And that the respect is there in the give and take and the sharing of energies as well too, right? And respecting and appreciating the energies that are shared back and forth.
Yes, exactly.
It's taken, it's funny because I because we were such an intuitive household, my kids having experiences when they were young and me supporting them, and then moving as adults, the language that we use. So, my daughter said, I don't know if it was helpful or hurtful. She said, but because I want to like bang my head against the wall most days when I'm like having to be involved with customer service with people in any way.
Yeah. I get overwhelmed with people after a certain amount of time. And then I just need to go introvert for a little while, and then I can come back out.
Well, it's sensory overload.
Yeah, for sure.
It's definitely sensory overload. And I think that's also part of the process, right? Is giving ourselves permission to respect what we're needing. And I require a lot of downtime, and I require a lot of alone time in that downtime in order for me to do everything else that I do.
Yes, I would agree with that. They call it, what is it? There's the term ambivert, where you're very outgoing and you're actually you're an extrovert, but you require so much to be an introvert to be able to let that piece of you shine.
Yeah.
Because you've got to recharge those batteries. I can't stay extroverted all the time. I have to go recharge for a little while. And then I can come back and do it
and
again.
I'm a Leo.
Are you?
Yeah.
Now, that makes sense because I know enough about astrology to be dangerous.
Really?
I'm not a guru, or like I'm not great at, but what I know is the different side. Like, so Leo and Aquarius are on opposite sides, which means like they're very drawn to each other and they work very similarly. So,
is that what you are?
I'm an Aquarius, yes.
Oh, that's fun. But isn't there like the other like rising moon
Your
or
rising and your moon? Yeah, your rising sign and your moon sign, it's all interchanged. One is what you're supposed to learn while you're here. One is your true self, and one is what you bring to the table, like your innate gifts that you brought to the table when you came into this world.
I don't know. I came in at 3:33 a.m.
Did you?
Yeah, it's the only numbers that I know, but it just comes up, whether energetically, subconsciously, I'm putting that out, but 3:33 comes up for me all the time.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, I guess. I keep telling the kids someday I'm going to walk on water. But I actually, when I was doing hair, because I used to be a hairstylist, so again, Leo, my hair was always like bright red until, recently, like in the last couple of years. And then it was like, I just don't have the time or patience. So we're just going to let this go the way that it is. But I love comic books. I just love all comic books. My dogs and pets have all been named after like Batman series. So they're all Batman themed, but Jean Grey, she turns into the Phoenix, so she's like part of the X-Men. So I used to tell the kids that I was like I was gonna like freak out and turn into Phoenix soon. I was just gonna implode and then like be able to Vulcan mind meld with everybody on the planet. That was Batman too. That's awesome. Contessa, Shannon, Tammy Johnnings, fellow Leo here. How does someone figure out their innate purpose for why we're here?
You really do. You have to have there are apps that'll let you figure out what your natal chart is. You have to know your birth date, time, where you were born, and things. And you can find some astrologers that'll help you do that. But there are apps you can just plug in the numbers and it'll kind of tell you. I don't really like I said, I know enough to be dangerous, but I don't remember if it's your moon or I know your rising sign is what you're supposed to learn while you're here. Like what you're supposed to step into and what you're supposed to learn. That's all I know. Yeah. But I think if you look at that, it'll tell you what not necessarily your innate purpose, but what gifts you brought to the world or what good you brought in, what's good about you and that what you offer to other people.
And isn't the Vedic astrology a little deeper too? It goes a little deeper. Like that's the one where
there's different versions of the class I took was shamanic astrology, which is very much, it's the same thing, but a lot of times I hate to say that astrology can be negative, but they're like, oh, there's that Gemini. Oh, they're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, of course she's a Gemini. Nice 1 minute, mean the next. So there's a little negativity that sometimes can be put around when you look at just straight astrology. I know shamanic astrology kind of looks more like the purpose, like why you are the way you are and what you're supposed to learn while you're here. They're all good. I think they're all. I don't take any of them as gospel. It's more of that. Isn't that interesting? That's
yes. A
really
sense of wonder.
Yeah.
Having a sense of wonder. I just think we should approach the whole day that way with a sense of wonder.
Yeah.
Like, and just be open, open-minded with no attachment to the end outcome and just, being able to roll with it.
I think sometimes with astrology too, it'll tell you the things that like you might be good at, like what careers you might be good at. And some of that, when I saw that, I was like, I can see that. I wouldn't want to do that, but I can see why they would say that.
Interesting. I don't know. Muriel is just saying astrology is amazing. Get your full book chart done. It's so great diving into all the parts.
It's just interesting and it's fun.
My mom is much more into all of those things. So I'm the recipient of, hey, I got your birth chart done. Fabulous.
It's really cool. But of course, then to me, it's all free will. Like even people talk about Mercury retrograde, and you need to watch out for that time. But I also look like I think part of it is knowing that it's Mercury's in retrograde, and then like you just preparing yourself to handle it.
But if
anything bad's going to happen, it just means be aware.
But if everybody collectively is putting that energy out, that this is a horrible thing, and so we're all contributing that energy. That's what we're also, creating, right? So for the most part, I can fly through it and not even realize that's what's going on around me.
Yeah.
I think
something weird might happen. I'm like, oh, I get what that could be, but it's literally, I never try to look at like, oh my gosh, the next 3 weeks are going to be horrible.
No,
we're like, but keep in your back pocket and know.
I would say like the Skype app has not been working. So that's all about communication. And that was kind of like, oh, somebody said it's Mercury retrograde. And I'm like, well, I suppose we could blame it on that, or maybe it's just I've outgrown Skype and we're just going to move on to something else.
Maybe it's spirit telling me I don't need Skype anymore.
That's the way I look at it.
Time for an upgrade.
Time for Google Meet. We're gonna get on Google Meet. Dowsing rods. Can you talk about dowsing rods?
Sure. What do you want me to talk about?
Do you take them on investigations? Do you have a favorite investigative tool? Is that one that would be the one?
I like using dowsing rods. You know what I like dowsing rods for? I like using dowsing rods because sometimes it seems like you can almost always get some sort of communication. What I really love about dowsing rods is if you have a skeptic in your group, and if you do any public investigations, you've always got the one.
Yeah.
You put dowsing rods in their hand and they feel the pull and they know they're not moving them.
Yeah.
You see like these big wide eyes.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh. That's what I love about dowsing rods. But I do feel like we get good communication with those.
Do you think it helps people learn to ask questions differently too?
Yes, because they have to be yes and no.
Yeah.
They do. But I do love that it kind of can turn a skeptic. Dowsing rods. I like EVPs too. I like spirit boxes. I like it all. I mean, I like it all. There's nothing I really would say I wouldn't be down for trying with equipment. I'm actually just starting to get a little bit of stuff of my own, as I'm seeing cool things.
It's a rabbit hole.
I know.
An expensive rabbit hole.
It is.
I tell my children, here is your inheritance.
You just never know. I mean, I like flashlights too, as basic as that sounds. But sometimes when you can't get EVPs, you can get flashlight responses.
And I think keeping things simple is nicer anyway. Like going old school is sometimes better than all the gadgetry
And I
anyway.
think,
And trusting your intuition. I think sometimes we get so focused on just the gadget, you're not allowing yourself to feel the experience and trust, because that's a muscle too, right?
well, and I think that's where I get great, is like either I hear something or I say it and you get the response that matches that on a piece of equipment.
Yes.
Or like we go in a
Yeah.
location, I'm like, I think we should put that music box over here. I feel like it needs to go over here for whatever reason. And then, 10 minutes later, that thing starts going off. You're like, okay. But also it's very cool when you put two pieces of equipment side by side and they both go off.
Yes, that's even better when there's two.
Yeah.
Contessa's just asking what exactly dowsing rods do.
Dowsing rods were initially used to find water.
So my grandpa did in the township.
Water and gold, I think. Maybe copper. So you hold them and they cross when they feel this certain energy. But when you're using them in paranormal investigations, the spirits can use their energy to move them, and you kind of ask them to show you, or even tell them, can you cross the rods if my question answer is yes, and can you open them wide if it's no, or you can do the opposite and say, show me what your yes response will be.
Yeah, and if you can do them. You can create your own with a coat hanger from the dry cleaner. You do not have to spend a whole lot of money.
Yep.
I mean, getting ones that are made, or getting the copper tubing so that it spins a little more, so you know for sure that you're not influencing it in any way. Like, you don't have to spend a lot of money on.
No, and even if you opt for those, they're maybe $10-15 on Amazon.
Yeah, they're not expensive. And I would encourage, like, it's just like any other tool. So the more energy you put into it, the more responses you're going to get back. And play with it when you first get it. Ask it questions that are not truthful.
Yes.
Is my middle name
answers? Yeah.
Yeah. Is my middle name Irene? And go from there, like, so that you understand how it's working with you and your energy.
And we've used them, like I said, people use them to find water. We've used them to try to find burial plots.
Oh, we have a cemetery. Woods. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was the Underground Railroad. So the slaves that came into this one particular place in Ontario, they had built a church, and then the church got knocked down, and those grave plots were not maintained. So somebody from the dowsing community went in and dowsed all of their plots so that they could be respected properly.
Yep. Automatic writing. I mean,
Contessa's just asking you ladies.
Do it. A lot of people do automatic writing. I've taken a few classes on it. I actually, and some of my mentors, they've covered it, and then there's been ones where they've actually covered like an automatic writing class. I think it's a muscle you've got to exercise quite a bit, and I think you've got to get to the point that you trust that you're doing it. I have a tendency to overthink. I have a tendency to let that left brain take control if I'm not careful. So that's why I like to, a lot of times I will use, even if I'm doing readings, I'll be playing with cards or throwing cards. I'm not really reading the cards.
Okay.
My brain shut off. But automatic writing, I struggled with. I don't know if you do a lot of it, but I struggled with it because I just felt like Spirit was supposed to move my hand. Like, that's what I thought. It's really not. It's more like a
it channels through.
Whatever comes through, you just write it down.
So I encourage people to write the word love repeatedly until you feel pulled to shift to a different word. So because it pulls you into that higher place, right? It's that high vibrating like word to begin with. Contessa, I'm not sure if you're part of the intuitive mentoring group that I have on Facebook, but I have a whole video there on automatic writing and using pendulums as like a dowsing rod. But dowsing, Cheryl, you're asking about dowsing rods. It's DOWSING. I automatic write with every session that I do.
I've been trying to do it more. I've been trying to my last teacher, she kind of gave you some things you could do on your own, kind of like to reach your higher self, like your own higher self, to do some automatic writing. So I've been really practicing the last month or so, trying to, I think I can do, I think it's not something I can't do. It's just not something, just like when I started all this, like I hated psychometry. I could not hold an item and get a feel off of it for nothing.
Oh, that was my
I
first
eventually
experience.
got better with it. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it comes and goes, but that was one I struggled with. So, and I struggled with automatic writing a little to begin with. It's getting better.
But I think that's leaning and letting go of how quickly we can do a Google search to find evidence that we were right about something. We have to really surrender and have no attachment to the end outcome and just spill it out.
That's what I really liked about doing mediumship with the paranormal investigations, because I think it's so easy to get scared when you're doing a one-on-one session. Like to say sometimes when you're in a you have no choice but to say what I'm getting, because I don't know if it's right or wrong, and there's nobody there to validate it but equipment. Yeah. So and it got me to the point where I'll just say what I'm getting now, because it just is what it is.
And I tell people, just close your eyes and take a deep breath and let it spill. Because if you're closing your eyes, it's like you're standing there on your own. You don't worry about people staring at you or looking at you or any of those things either. Contessa, the group is called Kerrilynn's Morning Porch. So if anybody wanted to pop over there, I haven't posted for December. Everything will start back up in January, but I post intuitive practices every day. And then we have like different, on full moons, I do some energetic cord cutting and a meditation for everybody and share messages and stuff like that.
And anybody can join the group?
Yep. And it is a private group. We just encourage people to engage.
Okay.
Like, don't be a weirdo voyeur.
Don't be just watching.
No.
Don't be stalking. Start talking.
Exactly. Oh, that's funny. That's so funny. I'm going to take that one. Oh, so Sandy, that's awesome. Kerrilynn, I saw the dowsing rods Carol made for the gathering at your house. So I did a divination tools class at my house.
Ooh.
And everybody got black mirrors for scrying and dowsing rods and made their own runes and stuff. Thank you, Donna Jean. I appreciate it. I'm glad that you think it's an excellent group. Yeah, Contessa, if you go on the top and use that search button, you should be able to find it. If you record voices of any kind, is it harmful to keep those recordings? So we had that. I think we answered that earlier. It's not. It's about the intention that you, put into it. So I'm just noticing our time. So we do need to. I know it went by really. I know it went by really quick. Thank you so much for hanging out. Where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on Facebook just under Rhonda Doughty. You can find Fredericksburg Paranormal Research and Investigating on Facebook. We're also on TikTok, Instagram, all the places like that. For podcasts for the Orion Effect, we're Sunday nights at 7:00 on the Orion Effect. You can go to Riff Nation Network and you'll be able to find those podcasts every Sunday night. And then for the Freakin Awesome Paranormal Show, I'm not always a host on there. I kind of fill in wherever they ask me to. But that is on Tuesday nights at 9:00 and sometimes on Sundays at 9:00. So
that's awesome. So thank you everybody for being here. Next week, it's another special show next week, because next week I do this thing called the 12 Days of Giving on Facebook. So I put up a spot as a guest on the show. So
I saw that.
Yeah. So Jen Welsh Wilson is going to be on. We're just going to have another fun conversation. And I actually have UPRN co-hosts coming on, Laura-Lee Potvin and David Hansel from the thing. Yeah, from the thing at the foot of the bed. And Laura-Lee also has the Angel Rocks. So they're going to be joining us. So we'll have the three of us and Jen Wilson with us next week.
It's fun to do shows like this at the holidays.
It is fun, just keeping it nice and light at the same time. So you have been listening to the Spirit Switchboard on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 and 107.7. Thanks for being here, everybody. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.